Good to be here. Super excited to be a Jet, and obviously this opportunity is one that I'm thankful to AG for, to have a chance to work with and for him. Obviously, you guys know we go way back, not only as teammates, but really as former players who found their way into the coaching profession and then have kept in touch and continued to develop that relationship over the years. Secondly, how AG has tweaked this staff to come in, and for me being here for a couple months now, working not only with the offensive staff, which has been super dynamic. The guys that stayed have been incredible. The new guys that have been brought in, also good. But also for me, getting to know the other coordinators and the rest of the staff. I'm really impressed with Duker and Banjo, the other two coordinators, top-notch people and top-notch football minds. And now that the players are here, obviously most excited about getting to work with them. This really, we know as coaches that this is what it's all about. It's about working with the players and getting to not only now watch the tape, but see these guys in meetings, get them on the field, work with them. It's been a good start. So I'll open it up from there.
Frank, could you talk about when this opportunity first arose? Were you looking to get back in after Stanford? Were you thinking about taking a year off? Where were you mindset-wise? And then just describe when AG contacted you.
My mindset after Stanford was, honestly, Stanford kind of re-energized me for coaching. It just reminded me of my love for the game, for the sport, for the purity of just coaching, being out on the field with the guys. And so when I got back, I sat and talked with my wife, and I said, I'm not going to jump at anything, but if the right person calls and it's the right place, I will go. And that was my mindset when I got back. And, got a couple phone calls on a couple fronts that, nothing moved the needle for me. But as soon as AG called, I knew right away this was something I wanted to do. Mainly because of him, but also because of the challenge and the opportunity to be a part of a staff and be part of a team, an organization that has an opportunity to do something special and turn something around. At this point, I love that idea, and I'm excited about that, and I feel like I got something to offer and contribute to helping that happen.
Frank, what was it specifically, other than you said mainly AG was the drawing card to the Jets, but specifically, because you looked at the Jets were coming off obviously a tough year, with an unsettled quarterback situation. So a lot of offensive coaches would say, well, why do I want to do that? So what was it about it that attracted you?
Well, those are the things that maybe I'm a little backwards, but that's actually what attracts me. You know what I mean? How to figure it out. Take what looks on the surface like a difficult situation and figure out how to get it done, knowing that it can get done. That's what I love about this business. It's the best of the best. You're with the best coaches and the best players in the world. And I could see from watching the tape very early on and just knowing my familiarity with, some of the people here beforehand, knowing how good the offensive line looked. Obviously, you got a couple you got a running back and a receiver in Garrett and Brees that are really good players, a tight end room that's very strong. There was a lot to like about looking at this team, looking at this opportunity in front of us.
Frank, when you mention all that, what do you want the offense to look like?
Well, certainly don't want to lay out what our plans are, but I can tell you this. The staff already, there's been dynamic interaction. There's a very clear vision now that we know the entirety of our offense of personnel. There's a very clear vision of what we'll do and how we'll do it. And everything will be done to accentuate what the players do best. Obviously, that starts up front. Listen, it's certainly going to be no secret or surprise to say we're going to want to run the football. And so we'll continue to emphasize that. And this team these guys ran the ball pretty well last year, so we'll build on that. And then, but you also have to find ways to be dynamic in the passing game and be excellent in situational football. So, and the way to do that is to create problems that the defenses can't solve. And you do that schematically, you do that personnel-wise, and then so those are the things that we're focused on as a coaching staff and that we'll work with the players on.
what are your thoughts on getting to work with Geno Smith and having a veteran under center, and how well do you think that he fits into your scheme?
I think he fits perfect. I've liked Geno from day one. When he was coming out of West Virginia, I had a high grade on Geno. I'd not met Geno before here, and I'm kind of glad because I'm even more impressed with him now meeting him in person. I feel his resilience, his toughness. I always think the number one attribute in any quarterback that you need, especially you want to come and turn something around, is you need someone who's tough. I mean, tough mentally, tough physically, and I feel that from Geno on every front. I think his experience, the ups and downs that he's been through, and he's had great success and had to deal with some tough seasons. And if you play in this league long enough, everyone's going to face that. And if you are the person, if you're the right kind of leader, then you come out of it better. And I think that's the version of Geno Smith we're getting. We're getting the best version of who he is, and I think his best football's ahead of him.
Frank, what has the process been like for you in terms of building out this offense? I know you mentioned now that you have the personnel, you can build it out, but like, how much have you enjoyed that aspect and even collaborating with AG and trying to come up with a vision of what you want it to look like?
I mean, I really do. I don't want to overstate it, but like the amount of fun that I've been having the last couple months, with AG, because he's been very involved, asking a lot of questions, giving me what his vision for the whole team is, how that fits offense, defense, special teams. We go back and forth on things in the most dynamic of ways, from personnel, me picking his brain, because he was obviously here last year with all these guys. And so doing that with AG and then getting with the coaches and using the experience, because the offense is in some ways it's the same, but I'm always looking every time I go to a new place. I want to pick things up that are going to make it better. I'm not looking to, hey, this is the way we've always done it. This is, no, I want to learn from other people, always learn from new players. So look forward to interacting with these players. But listen, to be sure, coming in here with a clear vision of what it's going to look like, but now draw on the experience of the other coaches that are here, tweak a few things here and there, evaluate our personnel. How are we going to mix our personnel groups? At what level? What percentage of this personnel? What percentage of that personnel? What's our ideal vision on first and second down, run pass? How are we going to set things up? How are we approaching third downs? How are we going to divide that up? How are we going to attack in the red zone? What's the 2-minute philosophy? All those things we talk through as a staff to kind of develop what is our system. It's a bunch of collaboration coming together to develop the New York Jets offense, and it's going very well.
Frank, you've coached a bunch of older quarterbacks throughout your career. You've had success with those type of guys. I'm wondering if there's a different coaching philosophy when you get a guy like Geno, who's had some scars and has been around for a while, as opposed to getting a young guy right out of college, like, when you had Carson back in the day, or Bryce Young. Is there a different approach to coaching the older type guy?
It's a little bit different, for sure. I mean, they come in, like you said, with not only with scars, but they come in with some pelts on the wall of a lot of things that they've accomplished. And so, and both of those things will help us be a better offense and a better team. And so, there's more collaboration, when you're working with a guy like Geno, and he's been great so far. It's been a short time, but I appreciate, as I said, I can feel his strength of character, but I also feel a real hunger and eagerness to kind of learn a new system, how it's going to fit with the personnel we have, and him wanting to hear our vision of what it's going to look like offensively. And so, as I've been unfolding that to him, there's been good interaction over that, good feedback, and excited to take next steps.
Hey everyone, look forward to meeting you guys in person. I wanted to first start just saying how exciting it's been to be part of the organization these past few months. Really first and foremost here, starting with AG. He and I have an extensive experience together. This was my third time working with him, and I always thought he was going to be a really good head coach, and it's been very exciting for me to be a part of it and really see everything that I thought he was going to be as a head coach, as good as I thought he was going to be. He's been even better than that. So I really enjoyed being united again with him, and being able to see that live has been really cool for me. The other thing that's kind of impressed me in my time here, I just want to first recognize Mooj and his staff, those personnel guys, what they've done this offseason to help bring AG's vision for the team to life has been outstanding. I've been highly impressed with them. And then next, just talk about our defensive staff. I was very excited about the coaches we were able to add in the offseason, working on our defensive scheme. Been very impressed with the ideas that they've brought. And then in the time we've been working with the players, I think they've been excellent teachers so far, so I'm really excited about them. And then leading into the players so far, in my experience with those guys, every one of them has been really outstanding, very eager to learn and get better. And then really the thing that's impressed me the most in my experience working with them in this short time is I knew them as players and their reputation, but they've been even better men than players. And I just really appreciate the way they carry themselves every day. So with that being said, that's all I got.
Brian, when you first heard from AG about the idea of joining the staff, like what was your thought process like about getting back with him, and then what were those conversations like about your guys' like shared vision for this defense?
The first thought I had was just extremely excited for the opportunity, to the point of I've always really enjoyed working with AG and always had a really good dynamic with him, and very confident in his ability as a head coach and where he'll take this organization. So obviously was excited to be part of a good organization. And then he and I have always seen football very similarly. So from that standpoint, the vision of the defense, that's kind of an easy conversation for us. And then it was more just kind of defining the role and how we would work together. But even that, we had a very similar dynamic and have used to working together. So honestly, it was a very easy conversation, and I was very excited about it.
Brian, you said that a lot of these players impressed you. Is there a specific player that you've been impressed by?
I mean, obviously Double D comes to mind immediately, but his reputation precedes him so much with that I kind of already expected that. There was guys that I just didn't have any of those guys we signed in free agency is a good example, Kingsley, Osai, all those guys that I just hadn't met in person before and didn't have as much of a reputational knowledge of them around the league. I've been really impressed with those guys in the short time, just be good examples.
Brian, when you look at some of the guys you brought in through the draft, I'm sure you were part of that process. What do you think of some of the guys that came in on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, again, going back to my point earlier, just very impressed with Mooj and what they've done. I think he very clearly sees what the goal is with the vision of the defense and what it should look like, and has certainly added players that fit that vision and guys that can help us.
How do you feel about being reunited with Minka, and how do you think he can make a difference for the secondary?
Absolutely, very excited about having Minka here. He's obviously an impact player, has been a very good player for a long time around the league, so was certainly very excited when the opportunity arose to add him and reunite with him.
Brian, how do you see that role with AG? He's calling the defense, but what do you see as your role as a defense coordinator, and how can you help him?
Absolutely. First and foremost, my role here is to help AG, right, and help him put him in great positions that he does a great job calling the game. But outside of that, from the defensive coordinator role, there's certainly some details and some coordination of the little things that need to be taken care of that sometimes just based on the plate of responsibilities that the head coach has, that it helps if someone can handle some of those. So some of the finer details and just some of the little things that I can help stay organized, again, any way I can help him be better, that's what I'm trying to do.
Can you speak specifically about D'Angelo Ponds? And people talk about his size and everything like that. What have you seen from him, and what do you think about the comparison to AG?
First, in regard to the comparison to AG, certainly find it as amusing as everyone else. I can't say I watched AG's tape coming out, so I'm not too qualified to compare the two tapes, but I understand why they say that from a measurable standpoint. And so that's all I could say about the comparison. In terms of the player, for D'Angelo, been super impressed by his ability just as a football player, and has shown that he can get the ball back, has shown he can be a lockdown corner.
Brian, when you studied David Bailey and had the chance to really dive into him, both when he came to the Jets and before, what kind of stands out about what he's going to bring to the table for you guys as a pass rusher and whatnot?
Yeah, first and foremost, obviously, from the pass rush standpoint, just as you alluded to, highly productive player in college doing that, highly productive. The get off And the first step is the number one thing you notice on tape. And then you see the ability for a guy with that speed that also shows power. That was very impressive.
Can you talk about the pieces you have up front and versatility, I think, that it affords you guys to attack teams with schematically?
Absolutely. And then to the point earlier, Muja's done a great job really building the front seven to the point now that we have a lot of guys that are very good players and can do a number of things. And so really the challenge for us as a defensive staff is to always getting the best 11 out there. And then we have so many guys that can do different things. It really gives us the ability to be creative and put guys in different positions. So I think we got a lot of good players up front. There'll be really good competition up there, and that's exciting.
Take a couple more for Coach.
Kind of in the same vein, on the back end, you have a lot of guys who can play different spots. I mean, could go nickel and that safety, and Banjo can play inside, outside. Like, how important is that to this defense to have defensive backs that can kind of be shuffled all around the field like you guys have?
It's certainly beneficial for the defense. It allows us to present multiple looks to the offense. It helps you in the event of injury to be able to adjust and get your best guys out there. In today's football where it's getting less and less position-based, it's very important to have guys with versatility.
I'm sure sometime in your past you've faced the Frank Reich offense before. What do you remember about facing his offense?
I'd be lying if I said I had strong recollections of that. I'd have to certainly have in the past, but I can't say I have a strong recollection or thoughts on that specifically. I would say this in my short time here with Frank, I really enjoyed getting to know him. I didn't know him well, but he and I personally have immediately felt a really good connection with him and just enjoy the conversations he and I have and appreciate his zest for football and his passion.
What is your philosophy about 3-4 or 4-3?
My philosophy is to play the best players and play good defense.
No, as far as the scheme, the scheme you like to run.
Exactly. Yep. Whoever the best players are, we'll get those out there, and we'll be multiple with that. So I wouldn't tie myself to either of those, really.
Beautiful people, good morning. Good morning, man. Good to be back. Really, really excited to be back. Really glad to have the guys back in the building and back on the field, man. The juice and energy they bring with them on a daily basis and even so early on in this process has been phenomenal. So really excited to have the guys back, man. Looking forward to the opportunity we have together to put the work in a day at a time. With that, I'll take questions.
Hey, Chris, thanks for doing this.
No problem.
Can you just talk about your kicker situation right now? Obviously, Nick signing with Atlanta. You got a couple guys in the building now. Just kind of how you see that unfolding over the next few months.
So in terms of the next few months, I don't know if I could really get into that just because right now we're really just excited about the process we got going on. When you talk about Lenny, when you talk about Kay, both guys who are very, very talented, and we're excited to have them in the building. And we're just looking forward to the process, looking forward to, attacking it every single day. And I think they are as well, too.
The next step for Austin.
One more time.
What is the next step for McNamara? After he had such a good year last year, what do you want to see from him now going into this season?
Just consistency in his details and his process. And I think early on so far, it's still real early, but he's already showing that. Maturing process in regards of just bringing other guys along as well, too. But I think he's still very, very intentional about fine-tuning his details. And it's exciting to see. It's really, really exciting to see.
Hi, Chris. I don't know if anyone's asked about the re-signing of Wangu, but what do you think the importance is and the impact of that is, and what kind of steps do you think that he took in his career last season?
I think we're very, very fortunate to get Kane back. I think we all know what type of ability he has in this league, not just what he's been fortunate enough to do with us, but what he's done throughout his whole career, and his attention to detail when it comes to that. So I think for him, for us, it's definitely a win-win, and we're just looking forward to, again, the process in terms of just putting the work in on a day-to-day basis.
Chris, I know it's early, but how can some of these draft picks that you guys got in this class help you out?
That's a great question. I think I'll be able to answer that a little bit better once they get in the building. Obviously we know who we've been able to acquire through the draft, but other than that, I haven't really had the opportunity to work with these guys on the field. Definitely love the direction, AG and Mooj are sending us in regards to the type of character guys that they're bringing in here. But in regards to what they can do on the field, I think that's better suited when they get here to be able to kind of get a better feel for that.
Chris, do things feel different for you entering your second year as a coordinator for the Jets than it did last year entering your first?
Definitely different. Definitely different. But still a lot of work to be done. So much work to be done. I mean, some faces are a little bit more familiar. That's probably the only difference right now that I can necessarily say. The dope thing to me, in my opinion, about our game, especially on fourth down, is that it's always evolving. So even some of the rule changes that's kind of come into play, they present different challenges than the year before. So it's another opportunity to step up to the plate, put the work in, put your head down, and continue to grow the unit as a whole.
Darius Smith showed you last year as a rookie in the gunner role and just special teams in general.
I'm assuming, did you say Arian?
Arian Smith, yep.
No, I'm really looking forward to his development. Obviously, he was able to continue to grow throughout the season last year, and our hopes for him is for him to just hit the ground running and continue to pick up on where he left off. I spoke on all the guys coming in with the juice and energy they've been able to bring. He's definitely been one of those guys that's really, really wide-eyed and looking forward to improving on a day-to-day basis.
Did you play a season with DeMario in New Orleans?
Yeah, I want to say I played 2 seasons with DeMario, if I'm not mistaken. And Onyemata.
What do you think those guys can add to the locker room?
Man, the better question, in my opinion, is what can they not add to the locker room? In my opinion, is just when you talk about from a leadership standpoint, a presence, a high character men. I think they play the game the play style, they play the game the right way, just everything about them as men, more importantly, and then also as players. I think they've been a really, really high, they've set a really, really high standard in terms of how to approach this game, how to be a professional, and then also bringing other guys along. So really, really excited to have both of those guys, me personally and selfishly, kind of going back to the memories I was fortunate enough to share with those guys out in New Orleans. So to have them here now in the building it means a lot.
You guys had one of the youngest rosters in the National Football League last year. I mean, when you're talking about DeMario and Onyemata, specifically, how can they help young guys as you guys are approaching this build?
I think they can do that in numerous ways. Like I said, in terms of just really, one, how to be a pro. The demands that come with, playing in the NFL in all phases, are really, really high. So being able to help some of those guys comprehend some of those things, how to go about it, again, from a preparation standpoint, from a performance standpoint, I think those guys are really, really good ears to have and guys to lean on in regards to that. So I think, they've already been doing a great job from what I've been able to see, and we're all excited to have them in the building.
Such a breakout season last year.
I'm sorry, who?
You guys, Isaiah Williams.
Yep.
You guys had such a breakout season last year. What's the next step for him this year with you guys? Consistency. I mean,
Isaiah did a phenomenal job last year, but again, like I said earlier, last year was last year, and we're looking forward to putting in the work this year about this, whole new unit that we have. But to be able to build on that for him will be huge. And I think he showed a lot of that maturing throughout the year last year, but now we just want to continue to build on that. And I think he's already been doing that from day one, just his attention to detail. Also, similar to what I said to Mac in terms of just bringing other guys along, some of the younger guys we have in the building. So really, really looking forward to his continued development.
Chris, what can Dane Belton add to your group?
I think he adds a different dynamic, another dynamic, I should say. I think the guys we have in the room already have been doing a great job in terms of their attention to detail in their process. But I think we also know there's no secret the type of player Dane has been able to be throughout his first couple years in the league. So we look forward to, him using his skill set to be able to show some of those same things. And I also look forward to the opportunity to hopefully, help him raise his floor so he can continue to be the dynamic special teams player he has been.